This is a lesson on inverted cadences, and we'll start with the key of C. What we're looking at is the basic 1-4-5 chord, which for C would be C, F, then I want to go back to the C, and then our G chord, and then back to the C. So the C cadence will be C, F, C, G, C. Now I'm currently playing it down here in first position using our standard open chord shapes for this. So the C chord is finger 3 on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Second finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Finger 1, you're on the 2nd string 1st. That's the C chord I'm using. For the F, I'm using just a simple version of it. 3rd finger on the 4th string, 3rd. Finger 2, you're on the 3rd string, 2nd. Finger 1, you're holding down the first 2 strings, 1st fret. And I go back to the C chord. For the G chord, I want the 6th string, 3rd fret, 5th string 2nd, 1st string 3rd. And you can finger that however you're used to fingering it. From there, back to the C chord. So the basic cadence is C, F, C, G, C. Now, when we invert it, we're going to move it up to this position. This is our 3rd fret. For the C chord, I'm using a B flat shape. That means finger 1 is on the 1st string, 3rd fret. Finger 2, you're on the 4th string, 5th fret. Finger 3, you're on the 3rd string, 5th fret. Then finger 4, you are on the 2nd string, 5th fret. I don't want to bar these. We could play this as a bar chord, but I don't want to do that now. I want to treat that as a separate lesson altogether. We'll just use these simple non-bar shapes to build these different chords. So this is the B flat shape, 3rd fret. This gives me the C chord. I'll hit just 4 strings. For the F chord, I'm going to go to a D shape. Now to do this, I'm building a D chord shape in the 5th fret, but I'm also going to add my 4th finger, the little finger, onto the 4th string. So let's talk about this. Finger 1, you will wind up on the 3rd string, 5th fret. Finger 2, you're on the 1st string, 5th fret. Finger 3, you're on the 2nd string, 6th fret. So there's the basic D shape. Because I want to include the 4th string, I need to have my 4th finger, my little finger, play the 4th string, 7th fret. So that's a D shape that will allow me to play 4 strings. When I play it here, this is the F chord. That was the 2nd chord in our cadence. So we have our C chord, B flat shape. The F chord is the D shape in the 5th and 7th frets. Then we go back to the C chord, so B flat shape, 3rd fret. For the G chord, I'm going to use an F shape in the 3rd fret. So this is the same way you finger the F chord in the 1st fret, but now we have it in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frets. This is a G chord. So C chord is the B flat shape, 3rd fret. F is the D shape, 5th fret. Back to the C chord. G chord is F shape in the 3rd fret. Then we come back to the C chord, which was the B flat shape, 3rd fret. Now the next place we're going to play this cadence is up here in the 8th fret. And this is the F shape, and that will give me a C chord. So finger 1, you're barring the first 2 strings 8th. Finger 2, you're on the 3rd string 9th. Finger 3, you're on the 4th string 10th. F shape, 8th fret, C chord. To get to the F chord, we stay in the same fret, but we go to the B flat shape. So that now gives me fingers 2, 3, and 4 in the 10th fret, strings 4, 3, and 2. Finger 1, you're on the 1st string, 8th fret. That's the F chord. Then to go back to the C chord, we play the F shape, 8th fret. To get to the G chord, I'm going to use the D shape, but I have to go down a fret. So now I have finger 1 on the 3rd string, 7th. Finger 2, you're on the 1st string, 7th. Finger 3, you're on the 2nd string, 8th. And then my 4th finger, my little finger, is on the 4th string, 9th. This gives me a G chord here. And then I go back to the F shape, 8th fret, to finish up with my C chord. Now the next place we're going to play it is up on the 12th fret. And it gets kind of tight here, so if you have to give up some fingers, that's okay. But I'm going to need the D shape in the 12th, 13th, and 14th frets to give me a C chord. So that's finger 1 on the 12th fret, 3rd string. Finger 2, you're on the 1st string, 12th. Finger 3, you're on the 2nd string, or 13th rather. Then my little finger, 4th finger, you're on the 4th string, 14th. That's the C chord. To go to the F chord, we use an F shape in the 13th, 14th, and 15th frets. So barring the first two strings, 13, third string, 14th, and then third finger, fourth string, 15th. That's the F chord. Then we go back to the C chord. Then for the G chord, that's the B flat shape in the 10th and 12th frets, and it's kind of tight here. Sometimes I can get lucky and get two strings with one finger, but I basically do need the fourth, third, and second strings, 12th fret, along with that first string, 10th fret. That's the G chord, and then we go back to the C chord, which was the D shape in the 12th fret. So that's our C cadence, starting open, then third fret leading with the B flat shape, then eighth fret leading with the F shape, and then finally leading with the D shape, 12th fret. And that's for C. Now let's take a look at it for the key of G. For the key of G, our basic three chords are G, C, G, and D. And then back to our G. That's the cadence. And once again, these are the 1, 4, and 5 chords. If you're in the key of G, the 1 chord's a G. The 4 chords is C, because that's the 4th note of the G scale. Back to your G chord. Then your D chord is your 5th note of the G scale. Then back to our G chord to end it. So G, C, G, D, G. Now the first place we'll play it using these B flat, F, and D shapes is the 3rd fret. So here's the F shape, 3rd fret, there's our G chord. We had that in the C cadence. Our next chord's a C. We have that as well right here. That's the B flat shape, 3rd fret. Come back to the G chord, which is the F shape, 3rd fret. Then for the D chord, we'll actually use a D chord, but we'll add the little finger to the 4th string, 4th fret, just to keep a consistency in the chord shapes we're using. So you just take a basic D chord, adding your 4th finger to the 4th string, 4th fret, and that's the movable D shape that we want to use. Then to end it, we come back to our G chord, which is the F shape, 3rd fret. Now the next place we're going to play this is up here in the 7th fret. And we'll lead with a D shape. So I've got the 3rd string, 7th, 1st string, 7th, 2nd string, 8th, and then the 4th string, 9th. And I'm using a D shape. That's a G chord there. To go to the C chord, we use the F shape in the 8th fret. Come back to the D shape, 7th fret for the G chord. For our D chord, we'll use the B flat shape in the 5th and 7th frets. Then come back to the G chord using the D shape in the 7th. The next place we'll play this is up in the 10th fret. We'll lead with the B flat shape. That's the G chord. For the C chord, we'll use the D shape in the 12th fret. So I'm using the 12th, 13th, and 14th frets using that D shape. That gives me a C chord. Come back to the G chord, which is the B flat shape in the 10th fret. It's really tight. Then for the D chord, we use the F shape, 10th fret. So that's the bar on the first 2 strings, 10th, 3rd string, 11th, and then my 3rd finger's on the 4th string, 12th. D shape, or F shape rather, giving me a D chord. Then I come back to the B flat shape to end it. And that's back on my G chord. So once again, the G chord, we have it open. Then go to the 3rd fret, F shape, B flat shape, F shape, D shape, F shape. Up to the 7th fret, D shape, F shape, back to the D shape, B flat shape in the 5th fret, back to the D shape. And then finally up to the 10th and 12th frets, B flat shape. And I go to the D shape, 12th fret, back to the B flat shape in the 10th, F shape in the 10th, and then back to the B flat shape. And those chords were G, C, G, D, and G. And that's the key of G. Now let's take a look at it for the key of D. The 3 basic chords for D are D, G, back to the D, and then the A. So D, G, and A, and then back to the D. And I'm just using a regular open shape D chord. Open G, back to the D, then the A, which is frets 2 on strings 4, 3, and 2. Everything else is open, back to the D. Now the next place we're going to play, this is up on the 5th fret, and we'll lead with a B flat shape. So that's our D chord there if we use frets 5 and 7 with a B flat shape. To go to the G chord, we'll take the D shape into the 7th fret. And that's a G chord. We come back to the D chord, B flat shape, 5th and 7th. For the A chord, we're in the 5th fret, F shape. And then back to our D chord, which is the B flat shape, in frets 5 and 7. Now the next place we're going to get this is the 10th fret. Now we'll start with the F shape in frets 10, 11, 12. That's the D chord. For the G chord, we use the B flat shape right there in the same frets. So frets 10 and 12. Back to the F shape, 10th fret for the D chord. Then for the A chord, we'll go down 1 fret and use our D shape. So that's the D shape in the 9th fret. The little finger winds up being on the 4th string, 11th fret. Then to end it, we come back to the F shape. If you have an electric, let's go ahead and look at going up a little bit higher, or if you have a cutaway even on your acoustic. That would be your D shape, and that's in the 14th and 15th frets. To get to the G chord, I'm going to use an F shape, which will now be in fret 15, 16, and 17. Come back to the D shape in the 14th fret. Then for the A chord, you'll use the B flat shape, and it's tight, but that's frets 12 and 14. So you can almost repeat what we did down here, open, up here on the 12th fret. So that's for the key of D. Now let's take a look at this for the key of A. Our 3 chords are A, D, and E. So we'll have our A chord here, open. D is regular D, back to the A chord, and then our open E chord, and that's the 5th and 4th strings, 2nd fret, 3rd string 1st. Everything else is open, and then back to the A chord. So that's the basic 3 chords in the key of A, D, and E. So the next place we'll play is up in the 5th fret with an F shape. There's my A chord. Stay in that same fret, give me a B flat shape. There's your D chord. Come back to the F shape, there's your A chord. For the E chord, we go down a fret and build our D shape. So that's frets 4, 5, and 6 using the D shape. Make sure you add the little finger in on that 4th string 6th. And then we go back to the F shape and the 5th fret, and there's our A chord. Now the next place we'll play, this is up in the 9th fret, and we'll start with the D shape. That's your A chord. Go up a fret, go to the F shape, so 10th fret, F shape, that's your D chord. Come back to the D shape, 9th fret, that's your A chord. Then we'll go down to the 7th fret and we'll build our B flat shape from there. So we'll be using the 7th and 9th frets, and that's our E chord. Come back to the D shape, 9th fret, there's your A chord. And if you want to go one more higher, we go up to the 12th fret with the B flat shape. So this will be the 12th and 14th frets. You go to the D chord, you actually play a D shape starting in the 14th fret. Come back to your B flat shape in the 12th fret for your A chord. For the E chord, you'll use an F shape right there in the 12th fret, and then back to your B flat shape. And that's your A, D, and E chord up there in the 12th fret. And it's kind of tight, but it can be done if you have a cutaway and maybe wide enough frets. It's a little tight on this guitar. This is my Variax, which is my electric, so it's a little bit more narrow string width between the strings. Finally, let's take a look at the key of E. So we have our E chord, our A chord, and our E chord, and our B chord, if we play down in first position, will be a bar chord. And to do that, I'm barring the entire 2nd fret with finger 1, And then with finger 3, I'm bending the tip of it backwards to play the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, 4th fret. By tip, I mean just that last joint. And that's your B chord. So the next place we'll play it is in the 4th fret with a D shape. That's an E chord. The A chord will be the F shape in the 5th fret. Then back to the E chord, which was the D shape 4th. And then for the B chord, we'll actually use the B shape. And that's in fret 2, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. So you can see it's like the bar chord we just did, except I'm not barring. I'm using individual fingers. And then I come back to the E chord, which was the D shape 4th fret. Now the next place we'll get this is up in the 7th fret. We'll start with the B flat shape or B shape. And that's my E chord. For the A chord, I will go to the D shape in the 9th fret. Come back to the B flat or B shape in the 7th fret for the E chord. And then the B chord is that same fret with an F shape. And then back to my E chord. Then we'll go one more. 12th fret, F shape is an E chord. Stay in that same fret, build the B flat shape. There's your A chord. Back to the F shape. Then for the B chord, we'll go down a fret and build the D shape. So I'm in frets 11, 12, and 13. And then finally come back to the F shape, 12th fret, and there's your E chord. So that gets it for the key of C, G, D, A, and E. And those are your main keys you'll find yourself winding up in on the guitar. And so that will at least get you started with these inverted cadences up and down the neck.